Good morning. I'm Heather, and I'm back for almost the end of this series. Pretty impressed with myself for making it for 20 days in a row, no matter what. Based on meditations for women who do too much. Take your life in your own hands, and what happens? A terrible thing. No one to blame. By Jong. Women have been reluctant to take responsibility for our lives because we have been taught responsibility means to be held accountable for what has happened to us and therefore to be blamed. Unfortunately, in reacting against this idea of responsibility, we have missed the opportunity to own and claim our lives, and thus have left ourselves without roots, ties, and understanding. We need to own our lives. We need to claim our experiences, all of them, and integrate them into our existence and decisions. We need to claim who we are and be who we are. That does not mean that we are to blame for our experiences. It means that we have before us the option of living our lives and not leaving that pleasure up to someone else. When I take responsibility for my life, I have the ability to respond to all of it. So what this really means to me is I think the main thing in here that I learned a lot from is we need to claim our experiences, all of them, and integrate them into our existence and decisions. So, like one example of a time that I did this was something that was incredibly difficult is on November 1st, 2017, my then, I guess she would have been 14-year-old daughter, 14-year-old daughter hit her head. And since she had unfortunately had quite a few concussions prior to that, just fallen roller skating and bonking her head on the sidewalk when she fell kind of hard, just kid stuff, stuff that unfortunately can just happen. Oh, and standing up underneath her bunk bed really hard a couple of times, knocking herself out. Anyway, so since she'd had quite a few concussions, this bonk on her head caused post-concussion syndrome very severely. And so as things evolved and developed, and a few weeks after she hit her head, things had gotten wildly difficult, where she was hallucinating and having severe panic attacks, needed it dark in our one-bedroom apartment all the time. And I couldn't leave for very long unless she was asleep. I could only leave if she was asleep, which thankfully was quite a bit then. And I had to find a way to still work pretty close to full-time. Luckily, I had a very flexible job as a rideshare driver, and take care of her and take care of myself. And I was also going through some other really, 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 really dark and difficult things at the time. So I just kept asking myself, I know this may not sound the same as taking responsibility for it, but it in a roundabout way, it really is. What is the gem in this experience? What can I learn from this? What are some potential positive outcomes of this experience? What could possibly be good about my daughter having a severe concussion and really, really difficult to manage symptoms? And surprisingly, I found a lot of different ways that it was an absolute blessing. One of the first was that I realized, because she had regressed to such a young age, that I got the opportunity to reparent her, but more in the way I really wanted to and didn't have the skills to do when I did it the first time around. And luckily she progressed relatively quickly. So, she transitioned from the extremely difficult, like very young needs level after only maybe just a couple of months. And then, then she was between 10 and 12, it seemed like, for quite some time, her needs level, needs for support and reparenting and that kind of thing. And then, yeah, anyway, I don't want this video to get really, really long, but now, where we are now in the end of July 2020, she dropped out of high school twice. The second time, though, was to go get her GED. And she got her GED at 16 when she was told there was no way you're going to be able to do this. She got it done in 6 weeks, right before everything closed down for COVID. Thank goodness. She's now 17. She started her first job. It's at a Jamba Juice not far from here. And she is so proud and excited. And she has incredible, amazing, deep friendships with 2 really lovely young women who also happen to have really lovely, supportive, stable families that she can go spend a great deal of time with. And she is bright and shiny and creative and uninhibited in all the healthy ways. And she just owns. She's like, I don't remember so much. I don't remember the majority of my childhood. I don't remember the majority of what happened recently. And so she just really lives in the moment. Now, her memory is improving. Don't get too worried, but her memory is drastically improving, especially if it's something she's interested and excited about. She has an incredibly good memory. And she's an incredibly clear communicator. Oh, this was the other thing that I learned very early on, is that she had to learn how to advocate for herself. She had to learn how to identify how she was feeling in the moment and what level of capacity she had to navigate what was before her. So, if she was feeling extremely tired and maybe hungry or something like that, she would just be like, okay, I can't take any more right now. If I was trying to have a conversation with her or something or ask her questions, she'd just be like, no. And at school was when she really got to practice. She really got to speak up for herself and advocate for her needs. And she got to say, I need to take a break now. I need to go walk around the building, or I need to put my head down, or whatever it was that she needed. She got to speak up for herself over and over and over again and get listened to. And when she wasn't heard, if a teacher was like, blew off her request or whatever, she'd be like, I'm going to talk to my team. And she had this whole team of incredible humans we created this plan for her. It's called an IEP, and that supported her in every possible way. Until we finally, several years into it, realized she came to the decision, after much supportive information gathering and help, she realized, okay, the traditional school system is not for me. I am not successful here. She was really good at gaming the system. Really, really good at gaming the like there was this math class she hadn't been to in months. She literally hadn't been to math in months. So she had her sweet friend who was very good at math teach her what they were learning at that exact time in her class, in her math class. She'd missed everything that led up to this. He taught her just what she needed to know to get like 3 days worth of homework done. She marched into that math class. The teacher was like, wow, and blew her off, assumed that she was gonna just be, a distraction. She handed in her homework Teacher looked at it. She said, wow, this is all accurate. She's like, okay, here's several more days worth of homework. She went back and sat down. Questions were asked during class. Ainsley answered them correctly. And she got to march out of that class like, fuck yeah, I am a badass. And that teacher was raving about her and how amazing she was, and just so impressed. That was one of the ways she would game the system. She didn't have to learn what came before, and she sure didn't learn what came after in that math class, but she knew what was happening that day and nailed it. Walked out. I could see her figurative cape streaming behind her. And then when she showed up for the GED, and the teachers there were saying, you know, you're 16, you've got all Fs. There's no way you're going to pass this test. You're going to have to go through all of these classes. But yeah, we'll give you a pretest and see what happens. They looked at that pretest and went, oh, maybe you're more ready than we think. She did what she had to do in order to get to those classes and in order to take those tests, even if it was taking anxiety medication before she went and asked me to drive her and wait for her and pick her up. That is what we did. And now she is a extremely self-assured, mature, incredible young woman who knows herself, knows her body, knows her needs, knows how to advocate for herself, knows how to speak up for her friends, knows how to be aware of her world, knows how to get shit done. And I don't know that she would be at this level of ability at this time in her life if not for those years of extreme challenge and difficulty and loneliness and sadness and dizziness and frustration and wondering if she was crazy. She just kept asking herself, am I crazy? So through all of that incredibly dark, difficult time, she has come out a shining light. And I am really excited to see what she creates with her life. And I can definitely confidently say at this moment that I would not feel this level of confidence in her abilities if we had taken the quote unquote traditional path. I would be much more frightened for her than I am. Now I'm just fucking excited because she's going to get a place. And she's like, Mom, you can come stay with me and hang out and we can play games and, you know. So, yeah. So, fortunately, this one did go on a little longer than I anticipated, but I really like talking about how fucking incredible my daughter is. And that's how we took responsibility for that experience. We made the fucking best of it. So, yeah. Thank you for being on the receiving end. And I hope you go out and just create your own just kick-ass day. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep creating one breath, one moment, one choice at a time.